Hard hits, big plays, but some of it's rules. They'll make you wonder if the referees just make things up on the spot. This is the NFL, the league with the most controversial and just outright ridiculous rules in football history. Let's dive in, and before we get into the game-changing controversies, let's start with the least. Literally, not only does the NFL regulate touchdowns and kickoffs, but it also regulates socks. Yes, you heard that right. The rule details not just color, but also length and visibility, and a player's violation can lead to getting fined thousands of dollars, emphasizing the rule's importance. Former player D'Angelo Williams once joked, "The NFL's got a sock police." He couldn't have been more right. There are officials who closely monitor compliance to eliminate distractions and ensure the focus remains on the game. And you know why these rules are enforced? It's so that they maintain a polished and uniform appearance, reinforcing the league's dedication to presenting a professional image, enhancing team identity, and increasing fan recognition. And the words of the NFL's Game Operations Manual state, "A player's appearance on the field conveys a message regarding the image of the league and directly affects the league's reputation and success." So players are required to wear white or their team's primary color from mid-calf to the bottom of the pant leg, which must be pulled down below the knee. Yes, no bare skin allowed over here. You wouldn't walk into someone's house, eat their food, and not say thanks. Same thing here. Subscribe. And it doesn't end there.
Deshaun Elliott, who received a fine by the NFL, per Rule 5, Section 4, Article 6, Item 5 of the NFL Rulebook, that says towels are allowed on the playing field only if they are licensed and approved by the league. Well, Elliott did not have one that was approved by the league. This is what the rule book says, quote, "Towels, provided they are white only, licensed towels approved by the league office for use on the playing field. Players are prohibited from adding personal messages, logos, names, styles, and illustrations. A player may wear no more than one towel. Players are prohibited from discarding on the playing field any loose towels or other materials used in wiping hands and the football, streamers, or ribbons, regardless of length, hanging from any part of the uniform."
Towels, yes, even towels are not left out. The league only approves players to wear one white towel that is licensed by the NFL office, no more than one towel, and it can only be tucked into the front of the waist. Anything other than that, and we have a uniform violation. Pittsburgh Steelers safety. Deshaun Elliott was fined nearly $6,000 for wearing an unapproved black towel in the team's road battle against the Vikings. Quite frankly, the fine is silly at best. It would be understandable if the towel or any other equipment was out of the ordinary, but alas, that wasn't the case. And to make matters worse, the black towel was a sharp contrast as compared to the team's uniform. Either way, rules are indeed rules. At least now we can bank on Elliott wearing the proper towel next time. Unless, of course, he wants to open his wallet again.
The NFL has been called the No Fun League, but pre-game, players have had fun with their footwear. Sunday, Stephon Diggs wore cleats celebrating the return of Popeye's famous chicken sandwich, and he's worn Starbucks-themed cleats too.
Then there's the custom cleat rule. In the NFL, players' footwear choices are subject to strict rules and regulations, including those regarding cleats. While the league has implemented a color code requirement for game attire, players have been granted some flexibility when it comes to customizing their cleats. While the league has relaxed restrictions during pre-game warm-ups and non-game situations, in-game footwear still follows strict guidelines. No, players aren't allowed to wear unapproved designs, not even for charity. In 2016, Odell Beckham Jr. wore cleats honoring the victims of the Paris attacks. And surprise, he was fined. The NFL's stance on cleats strikes a balance between individuality and visual uniformity. It's a way of preserving the integrity of the game while acknowledging players' desire to make a statement. The league later launched a My Cause, My Cleats campaign, a one-week exception that lets players wear what they want, 1 week out of 17. That's all they get. Goes to show that in the NFL, unique personalities are allowed when it's pre-approved by marketing, and let's not forget, it upholds the league's standards. Football, as we know it, incites an emotion from within you, both as the player and the fan. It's passion, whether it's the roar of the crowd when your team scores, or the rush of adrenaline from the players, that emotional experience of team camaraderie and shared accomplishment. But where the fans see the celebration as the spice of touchdowns, the NFL treated that joy like it's an offense. Celebrations are all fun until a line is crossed. But where exactly exactly is that line? The excessive celebration rule dates back decades, created to maintain professionalism and sportsmanship. Players were flagged for dancing, bowing, using props, and even going to the ground. It wasn't until 2017 that the NFL finally relaxed the rule, allowing players to celebrate within reason. I mean, nothing says freedom quite like celebrating responsibly. However, the NFL guidelines still penalize offensive demonstrations, celebrations that are prolonged and delay the game, and celebrations directed at an opponent. These tend to fall under the unsportsmanlike conduct umbrella. These rules do aim to prevent over-the-top antics that could escalate tensions on the field or delay gameplay, but in a sport built on emotion, this rule might have been the most unacceptable of them all. If you think this is unacceptable, wait till you hear the next. The rules that don't just frustrate players, they confuse everyone. 3 words: fair catch kick. Ring any bell yet? Let's have a look at this absurd rule. The fair catch kick is an ancient football play buried deep within the rulebook. There had only been 27 fair catch kicks in the entire 100+ year history of the NFL, and most happened in the archaic era, you know, before TVS or offense had been invented. The most recent successful attempt happened in 2024 and by Cameron Dicker of the Chargers. The last successful fair catch kick was in 1976, 48 years ago. While the fair catch kick has been around for about as long as football itself, the circumstances required for a team to even attempt one almost never happen. When a team calls for a fair catch on a kick, the NFL rulebook gives them 2 options on what to do next. Option 1, they can start a possession on offense with a fresh set of downs, or option 2, they can attempt a fair catch kick, essentially a field goal worth 3 points. But it's governed by a particular set of rules that make it a lot easier than a standard field goal. You probably didn't know about the second option. That's because 99.999% of the time, the correct option here is 1, and let me tell you, 99.999% is not even an exaggeration. There are probably about 10,000 fair catches for every 1 fair catch kick. The fair catch kick is attempted out of a free kick formation. That provides several huge advantages. There's no snap, and snaps can go wrong. The hold is always going to be perfect. The ball is placed at the yard line where the fair catch was made, instead of 7-ish yards behind the line of scrimmage, which makes it harder, and the defense has to stand at least 10 yards away from the kicker and can't move until the ball is kicked, making a block nearly impossible. But if successful, it's like scoring a regular field goal. If missed, the opposing team gets the ball at the spot of the kick. This rule is rare to see in action because fair catches usually happen far from field goal range, but it's still possible. What's wild is that even some players don't know this rule exists. It's one of those forgotten rules that feels like a time capsule from when football was still figuring itself out. It's so rare that when a team lines up for one, the crowd usually has no idea what's happening. So why hasn't the NFL just deleted it? Well, technically it's not hurting anyone, it's just weird. Nobody enforces it, but it's there. This next rule is just outrightly wrong. How is getting flagged for socks acceptable but not for hair pulling? Well, in the NFL, it is completely legal to grab hair and even to tackle someone with it. Some people call it the Ricky Rule, after former Miami Dolphins running back Ricky Williams was pulled down by his dreadlocks in a game in 2003, and the NFL made it legal in pursuit of a tackle. Although it's not always legal to just yank on someone's hair if you're trying to tackle someone, yes, but because it's considered part of someone's uniform, it would be like pulling on a jersey. So if someone was running after another player to tackle them, you can't just yank their hair to keep them away. That could be considered holding and could end up in a penalty. It seems a little backwards that you can't tackle someone by grabbing their shoulder pads from the neck area to keep them safe. That's called a horse collar tackle. You can't grab the face mask to avoid neck injuries. That's a flag for face mask. But you can grab their hair. How is that any better? And speaking of hair, aside from helmets and headbands to keep sweat and hair back, players aren't allowed to don a bandana during a game, even if it's under the helmet. So whether the league doesn't like the image that bandanas portray, simply wants to reinforce a standard uniform code, or views it as a fashion statement it doesn't want its players to make, an all-out war on the headwear has been declared. The NFL has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that they are all about public image, and they are really playing into the no fun league label. But why is the NFL banning bandanas? I mean, it's just a bandana, but nothing is just what it seems in the NFL. They are so neck deep in ensuring their players look as uniform and professional as possible, even if it's for something as insignificant as a bandana. Back in the 90s, some players wore bandanas as part of their signature style. They wore it to interviews and warm-ups. Another sect wore it to protect their scalps from the helmet or to keep sweat out of their eyes. And for others, it was just a form of identity. But the NFL thinks not. Even worse, this has nothing to do with the player's safety. Because seriously, these players are trying to tackle each other to the ground as hard as they can on every play, and the NFL is worried that a little bandana might ruin their image, or worse, go against their titanic set of uniform policies. What are players supposed to do now? Just let buckets of sweat pour down their face and into their eyes until it stings? Sure, we know by now how much brand integrity means to the NFL, but some rules are bound to make you want to pull your hair out in frustration. Which of these rules do you think should be deleted for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you've ever yelled at your TV because your favorite player got flagged, hit that like button.